As you learned before, the Cisco AnyConnect client is supported both in Android and in Apple iOS clients or mobile devices. Here in the screen, actually, I'm showing a screenshot of the Apple iOS client in an iPhone. This client, the AnyConnect, is actually supported in iPhone, iPads, and iPod Touch. It supports SSL VPN along with the Datagram TLS protocol. And also, like I mentioned before, it also supports IPsec by using the Internet Key Exchange version 2 protocol, or the IKE version 2. This is a screenshot of the iPad client, and here you actually see detailed statistics and diagnostics information that are definitely useful for troubleshooting, and it's a fairly nice client into the fact that actually shows details about even the bytes received, the bytes sent, the IP addresses that you're connecting to, the client address, many other statistics that are very useful for troubleshooting. Like I mentioned before, there's Android support as well. The thing that I recommend is because Android is a little particular because Cisco supports a long list of Android devices, but that list is actually growing on a daily basis. So for the latest list of supported devices for Android, go to cisco.com/go/AnyConnect, like I'm showing in this screen, to actually get that information. So this is a screenshot of the AnyConnect client in an Android phone, and basically you actually see the connection on and off button, and you'll see the create connection entry, or in this case there's no connection entry is created. So let's create one. First, you click on the connection entry in there. Then you will be prompted to add a new VPN connection, so you click that option. And then of course you enter the server address, can go into advanced preferences to change things like the certificates and protocol settings for the device, and optionally you can also set a description for the connection. In here, actually, I'm just putting a description called the Cisco Lab, and the VPN gateway in my case, or in this case it's a Cisco ASA, is 172.18.108.173. And then again, you can actually go to advanced preferences and create some custom configurations related to certificates, and also the ability to connect via IPsec instead of SSL. Now let's go over how to connect to the VPN appliance, in this case a Cisco ASA. So basically it's really easy. You click on the on and off button. In my case, I just use a self-signed certificate. So I'm getting the warning that, of course, it's an untrusted certificate. This is a lab environment. So I'm going to click continue. And you will see that the AnyConnect client is asking you to allow the connection. So it's requesting permission to set up a VPN tunnel to the ASA. And it also shows you that an icon will be shown at the top of the screen while the VPN is in use. So it asks you to allow it. We click on OK. And in here, of course, in my case, my group was Cisco_users. Very simple. My username is osantos, and I put my password and then authenticate to the VPN client. Once I authenticate, you actually see, if you're successful, of course, the word connected under the AnyConnect VPN client option there. Like I mentioned, the AnyConnect client, both in mobile devices for Android, iOS, and also the client for desktop machines or laptops, include a very detailed connection statistics screen or series of screens. And in this case, in the mobile device, you actually see things like the status of the connection. I'm actually connected, of course. You see the split tunneling mode. Let's pause for a second and define what is actually split tunneling, since we actually haven't gone through that. Basically, split tunneling is the ability for you to send traffic or all traffic to the VPN tunnel, or split the traffic only for traffic that is actually destined to the corporate network going over the VPN tunnel, and then for all the other traffic to go through the normal ISP route. So again, in the case of split tunneling, then only the traffic that is supposed to be encrypted to the corporate network will be going through the VPN tunnel, and then all other traffic will be going to the internet. In this case, we actually are doing split tunneling. The trusted network detection, which is a capability on the client, is disabled. In this case, we're actually doing split tunneling. You also see things like the address information, the client address. In this case, the address that was assigned to the client was 14.0.25.87. The server that I'm connected to is the Cisco ISA outside interface IP address 172.18.108.173. And I'm also using IPv6, and you actually see the client IPv6 address. You see the bytes, statistics about bytes received and bytes sent, as well as the frames received and sent. You see other things like control frames, the actual protocol that I'm connected to or using for encryption. In this case, is DTLS. You even see information as far as the cipher, whether we're using compression. So you also see the secure routes, which basically is the list of routes that you specify in the split tunneling configuration. So again, we're doing split tunneling in this example, and there's a few networks here that we're actually encrypting the traffic or accessing via the VPN, and then everything else. So if I'm going to CNN.com, Cisco.com, to Facebook, all that is actually going to be gone in the clear. So again, that's what you see here in the secure routes option. There's also a message log that you can use for troubleshooting and to see what's actually happening in the VPN client and, of course, in the VPN session. You see things like connection attempt failures, connection attempt terminations, the certificate acceptance request, and so on. There's a detailed memory information that you can actually access in the System tab. And here I'm actually showing this for your reference. There's also a lot of different system property information, even detailed information as far as actually memory, like heap memory, a lot of debug output, permissions information, and so on. There's also a client debugs tab that shows the debug information of the VPN client whenever it's actually connecting to the server, and any other debug information the client itself.